Once the racing season starts, our NASCAR correspondent Ned Jarrett, two-time Grand National champion, can't bear a Sunday away from the racetrack. Last week he visited a place that has a lot of memories for him.
Well, the Western Cup cars were off this weekend, but the Busch Late Model Sportsman had a big one in Hickory, North Carolina, the Mountain Dew 400. Tommy Ellis starting on the pole for the second time this year. Dave, this was old stomping grounds for me. This is where I drove my very first race. It was tough then and it's still a tough track. When the green flag dropped, Tommy Ellis jumped out front from his pole position in the orange car number 12, but Jack Ingram in the Skoal Bandit number 11 wasted no time in applying the pressure. It took him 31 laps to get around Ellis, but once he did, the race was his. The battle then was for third as Sam Ard in number 00, Dale Jarrett in 32, Larry Pearson in 21, Tommy Houston in number 6, and Bosco Lowe in the 27 car really battled it out. Only one incident slowed the 200-lap race. Ronnie Silver in car number 14 spun on turn 2. The victory was the first for Ingram this year. Ellis faded near the end and wound up 6th just ahead of Dale Jarrett. Houston took 2nd, Ard was 3rd, Pearson 4th, and Lowe 5th. For MotorWeek Illustrated, this is Ned Jarrett at the 3/10 mile Hickory Speedway.
Now let's meet a man who's headed for the late model stock car division at flank speed, and I have a feeling he may not stop there. Sammy Swindell won the World of Outlaws Championship in 1981 and 82. He'll be in action tonight at Lanier Raceway, right across from Road Atlanta, just north of here in his sprint car. Sammy, you've got some big plans in the future and some big changes in your career directions. Tell me about that.
I'm going to start running some NASCAR late model sportsman races. We ran the one down at Daytona. I had a real good time down there, and I hope to get in a few, maybe some Grand National races, maybe this year or possibly next year.
Those 31-degree high banks are a big switch from the outlaw circuit where the sprint cars run on the dirt ovals. How did you like Daytona?
Well, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of firsts for me. It was the first time I ever ran a racetrack that big and a car that heavy, or even ran that fast at all. So everything was new, but it was a lot of fun.
We've got a sprint car champion in a team owned by a drag racer getting ready to go stock car racing. You guys do a little bit of everything. What's the long-range plan for you and Raymond Beadle and company?
Well, I hope to get into, doing some full-time Grand National racing, and I'd like to do some road racing, maybe some IndyCar racing, and if we wound up with 12, 15 different cars, different teams, that'd be fine with us.
You've been racing now 12 of your 28 years and won 375 main events on the little bull rings. Are you looking forward to backing down a little bit from that hectic World of Outlaw schedule?
Yeah, I think that's really what I'd like to do. It'd be a little more relaxed, a little more time to think about everything, and just do a little less racing.
Sammy, good luck to you in your new career. Sammy Swindell, World of Outlaw star, moving on to the stock car ranks. Well, Sammy's outlaw pals are coming off a pretty tough weekend. Last Friday night, Steve Kinzer took his second main event win of the year in Houston. Sammy Swindell got upside down. Little brother Jeff, however, ran third. Saturday night in Kilgore, Texas, a power failure left the track in the dark. That race postponed until June 19th, and on Sunday in Oklahoma City, the Outlaws were rained out. As the series moves to Lanier Raceway this weekend, defending champ Kinzer has a narrow point lead over Bobby Davis Jr. Another driver trying out a new kind of race car is two-time Formula One world champ Emerson Fittipaldi. After a 3-year retirement, the Brazilian came back with a stirring drive last month at the Miami Grand Prix Camel GT race, then the transmission broke. This week, the 37-year-old Fittipaldi announced he'll do all the 84 kart PPG IndyCar races, driving a March. Motorcycle Week at Daytona boasts great history. Last Sunday's 200 was the 43rd annual. But there's a newcomer on the block, the Supercross, born in 1970, and it has grown to rival the 200 in both excitement and attendance. A record crowd turned out for this year's renewal. Their pre-race hero, Bob Hanna, who won the race a year ago. He faced a strong challenge from David Bailey, last year's Supercross national champ. And that battle was joined early as Hanna number 6 and Bailey number 1 each drew the first qualifying heat. Hanna very aggressive, straight to the front, and he barely looked back. Bailey, the biggest motocross success story of last year, battled for second and a transfer to the main event. But he sounded very confident about his rematch with number 6 Hanna in the final.
I could have took him in the heat, but I made a few mistakes myself, and if that's the pace he's going to run, I feel like I can run faster than that. And unofficially, I believe we had the quickest heat, so I don't know. Just have to see what happens.
Well, what happened at the drop of the gate was that patented Supercross assault on turn 1 as 40 riders try to fit through the funnel. Hannah got a great start. Bailey settled for near great in second place behind his Honda teammate. Number 3, Brock Glover, was Yamaha's early hope, while number 5, Johnny O'Mara, had a trick up his sleeve. Wrong way Glover didn't challenge for long. In fact, there was nobody in Hannah's league as he set out to prove that his off-season injuries are behind him and he's worth the big bucks he gets from Honda. Bailey was a distant second. He showed no signs of drawing closer when suddenly the picture changed. Hannah hit the fence. He opened a 24-stitch gash in his arm and hurt his knee. As his rival went to the sidelines, Bailey went to the front, but it was O'Mara who was preparing to steal the show. Johnny O was second after Hannah's retirement. Third spot belonged to number 17, Yamaha's Ricky Johnson. On the last lap, those two got at it. Second place, the issue. Johnson, the apparent charger. Looks like he may have caught O'Mara off guard here. Suddenly, Johnson looked like an easy runner-up. Over the final straightaway, Bailey coasted home to the cheers of the fans. But the best is yet to come. Watch O'Mara race for second. Hello, Johnny O. That leap is worth looking at again. Naturally, the fans all so dazzled by these aerobatics that they thought O'Mara had gotten second place, hands down. 50,000 people went cheering when Johnny finally came back to earth, but that all happened after the checkered flag. There's the moment in which it was decided, and Ricky Johnson got that second spot. That's quite a finish. Earlier today, you saw Kenny Roberts become only the second man to win 3 Daytona 200s. Roger Riemann, winner of 1961, 64, and 65 200s, returned to Daytona last week at the age of 45 and turned in a respectable 4th place finish in the Battle of the Twins road race. As we look at the rest of the class winners, a moment to note that it was a real pleasure to see Roger back on the high banks at Daytona. Kenny Roberts actually had 2 wins last week. To occupy his time during semi-retirement, he's organized a 250cc World Championship team designed to give young Americans a chance to get European experience. Team member Wayne Rainey is taking full advantage of that opportunity.
I got my chance now to go over there, and I'm going to go see what it's all about over there. I'd like to be the 3rd world champ from America.
Well, Rainey made his Team Roberts debut in last Saturday's International Lightweight race at Daytona, his second appearance ever on a Grand Prix motorcycle. Wayne might easily have been intimidated by a field that included the likes of Angel Nieto, Spain's 12-time world champ, making his American debut. But Nieto blew an engine while Rainey rode like a potential world champ, winning big and doubtless pleasing his new boss, Kenny Roberts, with whom he shared victory lane. Now we go to the tail end of Matt Guzetta's long trip to Daytona Victory Circle, a trip that began 10 days before in San Diego.
We just got through figuring it out. We did 11.38 gallons, 2,400 odd miles, and we ended up with 219 miles per gallon.
That shows what sophisticated aerodynamics can do for mileage. Matt, what else did you prove?
We're trying to show people that motorcycles are a viable means of transportation and that the efficiency can go way up from where it is today.
Well, let's update your racing calendar now. As usual, the Formula One road racing schedule remains up in the air until the last possible minute. The series opens next week in Brazil. Last Monday, officials confirmed that the South African, Belgian, and Monaco Grands Prix will be held. A variety of sponsorship, track, and TV rights money problems have been solved, at least for the time being. Next week, we expect an announcement of the resurrection of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Caesars Palace Casino officials had decided not to run the November 11th parking lot IndyCar race. Now we hear that championship auto racing teams, CART, the IndyCar sanctioning body, will promote the race themselves. And the International Race of Champions, IROC, has some sponsor problems. This rebirth of the series that features world-class drivers in identically prepared Chevys is still 3 months away. But Chevrolet and Budweiser can't agree on promotion and advertising questions. Sources close to the series think Budweiser may fade away as a sponsor. The Gator National Drag Races are running this weekend in Gainesville, Florida. En route south, several big names from the funny car division stopped off near Atlanta for a tune-up. The National Hot Rod Association Southeast Division opener drew more than regional drivers. Here's Al Segrini looking like something out of Star Wars, part of a star-studded funny car field that also included Kenny Bernstein. Kenny's Ford Tempo's been ripping up the quarter miles in '84. In 3 outings, the Budweiser King set 3 track records. That streak climbed to 4 last weekend. Bernstein's 252-mile-an-hour qualifying run, the fastest ever at Atlanta Dragway. Bernstein says this onboard computer is one key to his success. Kenny, do you ever worry that technology might someday replace the driver?
It's possible, I suppose. Sometimes they'd like to replace me, I'm sure, but one of the simplest things that it could possibly do in the future would be actually shift the car. The one time that you shift automatically for you at a certain RPM, let's say that RPM was the one that was designated that would make the car run the quickest, you could actually make it shifted at that point. So, yeah, the driver may get put out of there pretty soon.
In the semis, Kenny faced another big star, Billy Meyer, who had qualified his factory Ford funny 3rd fastest. Bernstein could have used more help from the computer. He lost to Meyer, whose 5.81 second ET marked the quickest run of the weekend. Billy, whose Ford deal guarantees him a lot of attention wherever funny cars gather, thus moved to Sunday's finals. Nice burnout here as he awaits Gary Southern, a Glendora Californian who advanced when Segrini broke in the semis. In the final, it was Southern who met a mechanical fate. He scarcely left the line as Meyer cruised home in a leisurely 6 seconds and a mere 223 miles an hour. Now let's take a look at the winners in some of the various other classes. They had a lot of good-looking iron out there Sunday. And, of course, the funny cars, top fuelers, and the pro stocks will all be back at Atlanta Dragway April 15th for the NHRA Southern Nationals. Right now, let's find out who's hot at the Gator Nationals. Bob Varsha has a report on qualifying.
Gary Beck is the fastest qualifier in the top fuel category thus far, but car owner Larry Miner is right behind his driver. Joe Amato of Pennsylvania, the 3rd fastest qualifier, has set a new NHRA quarter-mile speed record of 259.36 miles per hour. In the funny car division, Tim Gross and his Corvette funny car is atop that category, and Lee Shepard, the reigning Pro Stock champ, continues to dominate his division. He ran the quickest ET ever by a Pro Stock machine, 7.62 seconds. The Mark Donahue $20 million wrongful death suit against Goodyear and the Penske Corporation continued this week in Providence, Rhode Island. The defense brought in some heavy hitters to testify on their behalf, including racing greats Mario Andretti and Dan Gurney. In court, Gurney said racing is a situation where limits get pushed, where the intelligence, skill, and judgment of the driver and crew are pitted against the inherent dangers of high-speed racing. He also offered an opinion as to what happened to Mark Donahue, an opinion he repeated out of court.
Counted some debris on the racetrack, and that there was a almost immediate deflation, like a blowout. You have a big hole, and it just poof, goes away in a big hurry.
The presence of Andretti and Gurney added an element of celebrity to the trial, but they did not add any pertinent information as to what happened on August 17, 1975 in Austria to Mark Donahue. Elsewhere, the NASCAR Grand National stock car scene is gearing up for tomorrow's 500-miler in Atlanta. In qualifying for Sunday's Coca-Cola 500, Buddy Baker and the Woods Brothers Ford Thunderbird took the pole position at 166.542 miles per hour. Thunderbirds took 3 out of the first 4 starting spots. Series point leader Darrell Waltrip was way off the pace, qualifying 14th.
Trans Am Rookie of the Year 1983, Willie T. Ribbs, has given up, at least for now, his dream of becoming the first black driver in the Indy 500. Sponsorship problems torpedoed Ribbs' plans to drive for IndyCar owner Doug Shearson. This week, Willie called Shearson, and we quote, a hustler, adding, and again we quote, when a man makes an agreement, he should live up to it, unquote. John Fitzpatrick, former Camel GT champion and now a team owner and manager, is also not going IndyCar racing as planned, at least not in 1984. Instead, he'll send his team to the World Endurance Road Racing Championship, which this week saw a major revamp. Last Monday, the Executive Committee of the International Autosport Federation, FISA, adopted IMSA Camel GT chassis rules for 1985. They also created a committee to work out engine specifications, perhaps resolving differences between the European and American endurance racing formats. Now, Fitzpatrick apparently likes the new rules. He ordered 3 Porsche 962s. That's the Camel GT version of Porsche's endurance car at $250,000 each. John should at least have good equipment for his new team. Now let's name our champion spark plug racer of the week. Kenny Roberts has a lot to celebrate this week. Last Sunday, he became only the second man to win the Daytona 200, America's premier bike race, 3 times. He beat his old rival, Freddie Spencer. He ran Yamaha's Daytona win streak to 13, and perhaps most significantly, he finished his Daytona career unscathed. I don't think Kenny will ever race again on this track he admits he doesn't like very much, but his last appearance at Daytona was a superb one. Daytona winner Kenny Roberts is our champion racer of the week. Now let's take a quick look ahead to next Saturday's edition of Motor Week. We'll highlight tomorrow's Winston Cup stock car race at Atlanta International. Last spring, the Coke 500 took a toll on Darrell Waltrip's title hopes. Neil Bonnet came back and won the fall race there. We'll see how today's guests, Sammy Swindell and the rest of the World of Outlaw sprint car stars, fare in their 2-day weekend outing at Lanier Raceway, located across the road from Road Atlanta. And down in Florida, we'll be crowning the champions of the Gator National Drag Races, the biggest event in the Southland for the springtime racing season. We'll have all the highlights for you next Saturday. That's it for this edition of Motor Week Illustrated. Please do join us again next Saturday at this same time. I'm Dave Despain. I'll see you next week.
Promotional assistance and a promotion fee paid by Dodge Trucks, the official vehicles of Motor Week Illustrated. On the road, off the road, for competition or pleasure, on any job you give them, Dodge Trucks are Ram tough.
The Air Force Reserve. Be one of a kind in today's Air Force Reserve. Now, more than ever, a great way to serve. Call toll-free 800-257-1212.
And by Honda, world leader in motorcycle competition. Follow the leader. He's on a Honda. Hanover House Best Western 24-hour restaurant cafeteria. Suzanne's Lounge, I-95 at Adley Exit, just north of Richmond, Virginia. Texaco Products, adjacent system charter bus stop. Motor Week Illustrated was brought to you by Dodge, makers of Ram Top Dodge trucks, and by Dodge cars that will revolutionize your perspective of the road. We are Dodge, an American revolution. By Firestone Tires, where we're building radial tires street legal, competition tough, and proving it every week in the nation's toughest motorsports action. Firestone, the word's getting around. And by Honda Motorcycles. Honda, follow the leader.